Celine Dion has been one of the most loved artists in the music industry, being an inspiration to so many artists. Almost every artist that's still relevant today gets their inspiration from Celine Dion because she was one of the best vocalists by the turn of the 21st century. Considering how she climbed to the top, it was hard not to like her. But in 2021, she suddenly canceled all her performances until further notice. Celine Dion disappeared, and in 2024, she made a sudden appearance again. So, where has the singer been? What is Celine Dion up to, and why did she cancel her performances? Celine Dion was born in Montreal, Canada in 1968 to French parents, Teresa and Adamar Dion. Her upbringing was far from glamorous, as she grew up in a house cramped with 14 children. Well, for an outsider, you may assume a butcher father and a housewife cannot give their kids everything monetarily, and you wouldn't be wrong. However, Celine Dion said even though they were poor, her family was still happy. The singer grew up in a family that liked music. It was somewhat like the movie Sound of Music. She was named Celine because her parents liked the French song with the same name. Growing up poor meant that Celine Dion could not spread her wings as far as she needed to boost her career because her dream was to be a performer. Although she didn't have everything she needed, she had her parents' piano bar called the Old Barrel. Celine and her brother would go to the bar from time to time to perform, and that was the only musical training she could get for a really long time. Eventually, she got her first public performance opportunity, and that's when she started becoming a little optimistic about the future. On the 13th of August 1973, Celine Dion made her first public appearance at one of her brothers, Michel's, wedding. She performed Charbonneau's song Du fil d'aiguille et du coton. It was evident that she was destined to do great things in the music industry. The only problem was how to push her out there. Finally, the opportunity presented itself. When Celine Dion turned 12, she worked with her mother and one of her brothers, Jacques, to create a song called It Was Only a Dream when translated to English. But how could they promote the song? They had no money, no prospects, or any record label that would sign a little 12-year-old French girl that could barely speak English. If anything, labels were likely to exploit her and ruin her career before it even took off, since she didn't know much. Her brother, Jacques, had seen the name of a music manager, René Angeli, at the back of a Jeanette Reno album. So he reached out to René and sent the tape of their song to him. René Angeli was moved to tears by Celine Dion's voice, and honestly, it's not hard to know why. Even when she was younger, Celine Dion has always had a strong voice with an incredible ability to hold high notes and transport you to an alternate universe where there's nothing wrong with the world. After feeling a surge of emotions because of Celine's voice, René Angeli decided that he was going to make Celine Dion a star. And that was where the work started. In 1981, René Angeli decided to put almost everything he had on the line by mortgaging his house to promote Celine Dion's first song as his artist, La Voix de Bon Dieu. It was a huge bet he was making because if the song didn't make it,
Les mots pour consoler, les mots pour l'amitié,
then he would be homeless. But if the song went far, then his and Celine's life could change. Well, if we're still talking about Celine Dion in 2024, then we know that René's bet worked in their favor. After the song was released and promoted, it became a hit song in Quebec, making her their #1 star. Even though the majority of the listeners would have been English speakers, nobody cared what language the song was in as long as they could listen to Celine Dion's beautiful voice. Despite having the #1 song in Quebec, it will take Celine Dion another year to become a global name. In 1982, she participated in the Yamaha World Popular Song Festival in Tokyo and won the Musicians Award for Top Performer as well as the gold medal for Best Song with Tellement j'ai d'amour pour toi. Celine Dion's incredible talent set her up to win so many awards that would change the course of her career. In 1983, she became the first Canadian artist to receive a gold record in France, although she was technically French. She also won several Feliz Awards for Best Female Performer and Discovery of the Year. And if we're being honest, she deserved everything and more. If Celine Dion had come out in recent times, people would have argued that it was because she was a minority in Canada. That's why she was getting all the recognition and awards. But at the time she became popular, there was no social media or way to get pity love. She was exuding pure talent, and that was what took her so far. She represented Switzerland in the 1988 Eurovision Song Contest and won by a close margin. Her voice was paving ways for her, and it was now time for her to spread her wings. But if Celine Dion was going to break into the international scene, she had to become fluent in English so she could start singing songs in a language that more people could understand. In 1989, she had a vocal cord injury during a performance, and after consulting a specialist, she had the option of doing surgery on her vocal cord or resting for a while until she healed. Getting surgery on her vocal cords could ruin her career because surgeries like that are usually 50-50. If it didn't go well, she would no longer be able to sing, and her dreams would go down the drain before she even reached half of her potential. But if things went well, she wouldn't have to worry. But Celine Dion chose to rest her voice instead and undergo vocal training. During the period that she was undergoing vocal training, she was also improving her English speaking skills. If she was going to sing for an international market, then she needed to be more relatable. She returned from her vocal break with an English album called Unison, with the lead single originally recorded by the English singer Junior in 1983. The album drew inspiration from 1980s soft rock music, which was quite different from what Celine Dion used to sing. She sang mostly classical music, and now she was experimenting with soft rock music, and critics seemed to be on her side. According to Jim Farber of Entertainment Weekly, her vocals were tastefully adorned, and she never attempted to bring off styles that are beyond her. In essence, Celine Dion was on the right path in the Anglophone market, and she was on the way to becoming a great singer. Her song, Where Does My Heart Beat Now, peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Top 100 in 1991, making it her first song to enter the chart. While being on the Billboard Top 100 was a great recognition, her true international recognition came when she duetted with Peabo Bryson on Disney's animated film Beauty and the Beast. The song became her first top 10 hit in the UK and second top 10 hit in the US. However, Celine Dion's life soon started to experience grief, and it would alter her life for a long time. On November 30, 2003, Celine Dion's father died while she was on a 3-year, 600-show contract in an entertainment extravaganza, A New Day. It was a show where she was to perform 5 nights a week, and although the ticket costs were high, each show was getting sold out. The move is a risky business decision, but how do you make money if you don't take risks? But let's get back to her father's death. After the singer's father passed, she canceled 2 shows in Las Vegas so she could attend the funeral and be with her family. The cause of his death was never released, and all the family said was that he died in his sleep. Some days after the funeral, Celine Dion had to be on her best behavior, performing on stage and making her money. When you're an entertainer, you don't really get time to process things because time moves by fast and you have contracts to honor. It was probably at that point that Celine Dion realized that being a performer was not all roses, as there would be times where she would have to sacrifice family time for a concert, and that must have broken her. As the singer was moving past all the hurt and grief, her husband, René Angeli, fell ill, and she had to postpone all her performances until further notice in 2014. She wanted to spend time taking care of her husband after a cancerous tumor had been removed from his body in 2013. When she thought things were getting better, she decided to return back to music in 2015, and she did. But that only lasted for the shortest time, as she was hit with a fresh wave of grief in 2016. On January 14, 2016, René Angeli was pronounced dead. Celine Dion was devastated because this was a man she had devoted her entire life to, right from when she was an adolescent. Although her family was pivotal in encouraging her desire to pursue a career in music, René Angeli bet everything he had on a young 12-year-old who could only sing in French. It's not exactly the kind of thing people do so easily. Most of us remember how Puff Daddy refused to give Chris Brown a chance when the artist was still in his prepubescent stage. But René Angeli put everything on the line by mortgaging his house to invest in Celine Dion's career and make her the amazing vocalist we know today. Barely 3 days after the death of her husband, one of her brothers, Daniel, died of cancer. She canceled the rest of her shows for January to grieve her family that she had lost. Can you imagine how hard life must have been on her during that period? Even if she came from a big family, she still had a good relationship with her 13 siblings, and losing one of them and her husband in less than a week was a hard pill to swallow. But trust Celine Dion to get up on her feet when she can and sweep the world off theirs. By February of 2016, she resumed her performances and her concert was sold out with rave reviews. She also received a Billboard Icon Award for 30 years in the music industry, which is not an easy feat to achieve. Most singers stop performing after less than 30 years and focus on starting a label or diversifying into other businesses, like Rihanna. But Celine Dion was doing everything in her power to deliver stellar performances and show the world that nothing could hold her down. When it seemed like things couldn't get any more worse than they already were, her mother died in 2020 at the age of 92. Her mother, fondly called Maman Dion, was a Canadian TV air personality, and people loved the relationship she had with her daughter. Maman Dion was sick before her death, and her family knew that they were going to lose her soon. So they did everything to ensure she enjoyed their presence in her final breaths. 2 days before Maman Dion died, the nurses looking after her called Celine Dion, saying that her mother was getting close to her final days. The singer had to rearrange her performance schedules so she could be by her mother's bedside. According to the tribute the singer penned for her mother, she was sure her mother wanted her and her siblings to be by her bedside and spend family time together. Maman Dion watched her youngest daughter go from a girl with dreams to a woman that was shaking the world with her impeccable talent. Her children made her proud in her lifetime, and that's a life well spent. We hope her soul continues to rest in peace. A year after her mother's death, Celine Dion in 2021 canceled her Las Vegas residency, citing health issues as the reason. Fans were looking forward to her performances, and the fact that she was just canceling made them a little bit sad, but her health was priority. As usual, fans were curious about what exactly was wrong with Celine Dion, because after canceling her shows, she kind of disappeared. Eventually, in 2022, she announced her diagnosis, which was stiff person syndrome, and how it affected her singing muscles. So, let us do a little medical class. Stiff person syndrome, SPS, is a rare and puzzling condition that messes with the way your muscles work. Imagine feeling like your muscles are always tense, as if you've just finished an intense workout, even when you haven't. This stiffness isn't just uncomfortable, it makes it hard to move and stand up straight. The main thing about SPS is that your muscles can suddenly tighten up on their own, without you wanting them to. It's like having a muscle cramp, but it happens a lot and all over your body. Sometimes things like stress, sudden movements, or loud sounds can trigger these muscle spasms. Doctors believe that SPS is like a mix-up in your body's defense system. Instead of protecting you, your immune system starts attacking your own muscles. This happens because of something called antibodies, which are like little soldiers in your body. In SPS, these antibodies mistakenly attack proteins that help control muscle activity. One important protein they target is called glutamic acid decarboxylase, or GAD. This protein helps make a chemical called gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA, which is like a traffic cop for your muscles. When there is a problem with GAD and GABA, your muscles don't get the right signals, leading to the constant stiffness and spasms that define SPS. Diagnosing SPS can be tricky because its symptoms can look like other muscle problems. Doctors use tests to check for high levels of anti-GAD antibodies and sometimes do imaging tests like MRIs to rule out other causes. While there is no cure for SPS, there are ways to help manage the symptoms and make life easier for those dealing with it. Doctors may prescribe medications like benzodiazepines and baclofen to relax the muscles. Other treatments aim to calm down the overreactive immune system with things like intravenous immunoglobulin or corticosteroids. Physical therapy is another big part of managing SPS. Picture it like a personalized exercise plan that helps keep your muscles flexible and strong. This can make a big difference in how well you move and do everyday activities. Alongside this, emotional support is crucial because dealing with a condition like SPS can be tough. Support groups and counseling help people connect with others facing the same challenges and find ways to cope. In a nutshell, stiff person syndrome is a rare condition where your muscles feel tense all the time and they can suddenly tighten up on their own. It happens because your immune system gets confused and starts attacking the proteins that control muscle activity. While there's no cure, treatments like medications and physical therapy can help manage the symptoms. And support from others who understand can make a big difference in facing the challenges of SPS. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, Celine Dion also revealed that this condition affects her singing muscles, which explains a lot about why she's not making performances or releasing new songs. It would be weird if she were to have a sold-out concert only to not be able to get through any of her songs. Most of her fans would not care about her condition. They would drag her to the ends of the earth and paint her as a scam artist, forgetting the fact that she has made so many contributions to the music industry. But despite disappearing, Celine Dion made a comeback at the 2024 Grammys, which had people relieved and glad she was coming out again. The last time she was seen at the Grammys was in 2019, and since she was diagnosed with stiff person syndrome in 2022, that was her first major event. The singer wasn't there to receive an award for herself, not like it would have been surprising. Celine Dion was at the 60th Grammys to deliver the biggest award of the night, Album of the Year, to Taylor Swift. After the award show, people were a little bit mad at Taylor Swift for not being excited to receive her award from Celine Dion, as she also avoided a hug with the Queen of Ballads. But maybe it was for the best that Taylor Swift didn't jump on Celine Dion and act star-studded, as that could have triggered muscle spasms and led to a terrible case. Anyway, after the event, Celine Dion got backstage and showed off her amazing vocals with Sonia. Celine Dion might be down because of her health, but her voice is still as beautiful as ever. An insider revealed that the singer is planning to ease her way slowly into the music industry again and take it one event at a time. We wish her the best and hope she recovers quickly because we all need some new Celine music, don't we?